You gonna show me the money. Mm-hmm. You gonna show me the money. You gonna show me the money.
That was 3 of them. Lane Kiffin has told Ole Miss, LSU, and Florida.
Show me the money!
13 to 15 million a year, plus who knows, with incentives and everything else. The Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. The Kiffin Watch continues. We still have plenty of Ole Miss fans on the Golden Moon Casino text line who believe that Lane is going to stay in Oxford at the end of the day. After the battle for the Golden Egg, he and Keith Carter will get together Friday. I know they said Saturday in Keith's release, but either Friday night or Saturday, and finally get something definitive and concrete done. In other words, you're staying or you're going to Baton Rouge or Gainesville. I still say keep an eye on the Texas Longhorns and Sark to the NFL, but and possibly Ryan Day and Ohio State to the NFL. This thing could get even nuttier and crazier than it is today. But the Kiffin Watch continues. And Lane, I think, Lane lives in his own world. And I think all along he thought, man, I can take another job and coach this team.
He 1,000% thought that.
And I mean, no one's told him no.
Right. In years.
Since he's been in Oxford, because they're so fortunate to have him. And right out of the gate, he started winning, and he's the best hire. Definitely the best football hire, period, in the state of Mississippi ever. And then I think he's the best hire in the history of Ole Miss athletics.
Yeah.
And you've been riding high with this for some time now. And even though, he's still got Lane and the drama and the frat boy, brat thing going, he's just so damn good at what he does. You just roll with it and live with it. And Ole Miss some Ole Miss fans are like irate. Others are like, let's win Friday and go to the college football playoff. And if Lane's here, heck yes. And if he's not, we'll figure it out. Okay. Is that fair?
That's fair.
All right. Do you have any thoughts on that? You've got him going to LSU.
I do.
Okay.
I do. We actually have a poll up right now on the YouTube channel as well. We're reusing the poll from your Facebook.
Okay, good. So we're on YouTube. You can see the LSU and Ole Miss helmets. If you want to watch the show, you can stream it on YouTube. Search Out of Bounds Sports. Okay?
Go Hogs. Yes, sir.
And we've got the Lane Kiffin bobblehead doll in between the LSU and Ole Miss helmets, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, go to YouTube, search Out of Bounds Sports if you want to watch the show. The SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent in any of the 82 counties in Mississippi. Competitive rates driven by Farm Bureau Insurance, and go with the home team, as Jake Mangum likes to tell us. Farm Bureau Insurance. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Steve Robertson at 8:30, Jay Powell at 9 a.m., because they've got a big, we'll tell you more about this as the show unfolds. So Grit Fitness and Training on Lakeland Drive behind Ergon has a huge event tomorrow. And Jay Powell is the director of baseball operations for Grit Fitness and Training Facility on Lakeland Drive. And we'll tell you more about that a little bit later in the show. And then we'll wrap it up with Tom Luganbill, national college football analyst with ESPN. Lugs will join us at 9:30.
He's trying to find some recruits.
What?
Nice. Like I need this. You think Lugs is tired of the Kiffin deal, or you think he likes it?
I think he's just in it like we are.
Yeah,
and
he's
so
just there,
you're
yeah.
just following it. And, as many people, I think you talk to enough people that you realize no one knows. And that's where we are.
That's right.
Lane is so aloof, so weird, and not really lacks self-awareness, but he's brilliant when it comes to coaching football. But, I mean, there's a large percentage of coaches who lack. So it's to a certain extent what makes them so good,
right?
Especially if you're good.
Sure.
I mean, if you're not winning, and you lack self-awareness, then you run the numbers in life a little bit a different way. But and Lane doesn't care. I don't mean this mean. I mean, look, he's invested and done a great job for Ole Miss. He doesn't have any kind of affinity for I mean, Oxford's Oxford. It's a nice community. He's lived there. He's got everything he needs. Ole Miss is, da-da-da. But as we stated and people around him said from the jump, he is a major and I know Baton Rouge isn't a major metropolitan area. But this wasn't going to be his last stop. Now, he may stay for another year or so. But this is, at 50 years old, he's not going to be there at 58 years old. It's not going to happen. But he may not be there past Saturday at 8 a.m. I don't know. Maybe he and Keith Carter will go do hot yoga again or whatever they did last week. They met on Friday. I think people, if you listen to this show, you knew that we didn't think that there was going to be any, closure, so to speak. You have to let him coach the game because the game means so much to you. It's a rivalry game, and you're trying to make the college football playoff.
Right.
And so Keith doesn't have a lot of great options. That'd be Keith Carter, athletic director at Ole Miss. So here we go. This was Keith Carter's statement on Friday. I know most of you have read it, but we're going to do it one more time because some of you were traveling and so on. Right. So this is Keith Carter's statement after Lane Kiffin, athletic director Keith Carter, and Chancellor Glenn Boyce met. This is Keith, and I quote, "Coach Kiffin and I have had many pointed and positive conversations regarding his future at Ole Miss, including meeting today with Chancellor Boyce. While we discuss next steps, we know we cannot lose sight of what is most important, our sixth-ranked team that is poised to finish the regular season in historic fashion. Despite the outside noise, Coach Kiffin is focused on preparing our team for the Egg Bowl, and together we want to ensure that our players and coaches can concentrate fully on next Friday's game. This team is on the cusp of an unprecedented season, and it's imperative that they feel the support of the Ole Miss family in the week ahead. An announcement on Coach Kiffin's future is expected the Saturday following the game." End of quote. All right. So I'd like your reaction on the Golden Moon Casino text line. 601-885-3776. Earl in Madison says, most Ole Miss folks I run with don't have love for Kiffin, but what we do love is winning. All right. If the next person can get close, Kiffin will just be a memory, nothing more. Thanks for your service. Wow. No statement at all would have been better from Earl in Madison. All right. So first of all, that's not accurate. Kiffin's not just going to be a memory. He will go down as the best coach in the history of Ole Miss. And here's what I said yesterday. Bud Elliott, I think 247 Sports came out and laid out why it's not Kiffin, it's Ole Miss. And I like Bud. He's done a great job building a hell of a college football show. He's wrong. And here's why. Lane Kiffin is the driving force behind all of this. Okay? Now, Keith Carter jumped on board, Glenn Boyce jumped on board, Walker Jones jumped on board, and the alums committed. Like other places, the campus didn't commit and the alums didn't commit to NIL in the portal. Pearl clutch, stiff back, all that around the country. Okay? Not just in Starkville, but other places. And when Lane grew up in the NFL, he understood, this is the NFL model for college athletics. I know this. I've seen this. I've been around my dad for 1 million hours. I lived it on NFL Sundays. Listen to what Booger McFarland said the last couple months on Lane being in the locker room, when he was in Tampa Bay, when Monty was the defensive coordinator there, and so on. Lane has lived the NFL life. And he understood that this was the NFL model for collegiate athletics. Took Lane about 0.5 seconds. He was already winning enough. He went to everybody and said, this is the way, this is the path. We have to embrace it. We have to go. And they did. Also, Lane is a top 5 play caller on the offensive side of the football. And some Ole Miss fans were pushing back that he's not a great recruiter. Well, he's not a bad recruiter, one. He may be an introvert, but he's not a bad recruiter. He can turn it on, obviously. And I think he's gotten a lot better over the years than what he was earlier. But two, and I think this is even more important today than it was in the old era or old deal that we just got out of a couple of years ago, Lane can evaluate. And whoever he hires, whether it's Austin Thomas, who's now at LSU, or Billy Glasscock, who's currently his general manager, and of course they have people under them and so on, they have an eye for talent. But I think Lane being around his dad in the NFL, he has an eye for and Pete Carroll and Nick. But that's the way I look at it with Lane. So, his ability to evaluate talent and expedite the coaching like you do in the NFL. You get your players on July 25th and you got to roll. Wasn't like that in college before. Okay? And Lane is good at all those. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be even if you get John Summerall, who we've been talking about for years and who Mississippi State could have hired, and he was mad as hell because he thought he had the job for about 24 hours. But even if you get John Summerall, who is a hell of a coach, it will not be Lane Kiffin. All right, let's go to the phones.
Yeah, RRB.
Okay, we'll go to the Michelob Ultra caller line. RB, where's Lane Kiffin going?
I don't know. I'm keeping my mouth shut.
Well, you called the show. You can't keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, but that's not what I was going to say. But as far as where I will say this. 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was like 70-30 he's staying at Ole Miss. Now I'm in like 30 to 40 percentile range that he stays at Ole Miss.
Wow,
anyway, the statement that Keith Carter put out, all the words that were used in that statement, there's one word that stood out to me immediately when I read it the other day.
Okay.
And that was the word expected. He didn't say a decision shall be or will be given. It's expected to be given. Is that a loophole word that this isn't resolved on the day after the Egg Bowl? That's a loophole word.
Yes.
I'm out.
All right, that's a good point. It gives everybody some wiggle room. That's right.
Yeah.
And
right.
I think anybody, Lane, too, I don't know how much wiggle room Lane cares about.
No.
Because I don't think Lane cares about any of your feelings. And that's not a shot. I just don't think he does. I mean,
No.
He has done what he was supposed to do, go and win. Ole Miss has done what they were supposed to do, support him to the nth degree.
Right.
Okay, so, I mean, it has been a win relationship and partnership between Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss / Oxford.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's Oxford.
Right?
The community, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was already good
God.
to be the director of tourism for any of these SEC towns. But when you have a coach winning at that level,
Man.
you can just wake up, pour a shot of Bailey's in your coffee, and go to the tennis court or the golf course. Everything's taken care of. And that's what, I mean, Lane has elevated a lot. Dan Mullen made a lot of people look smarter.
Yeah.
Okay? Lane has done that and then some with more lighter fluid. All right?
Yeah.
I mean, Nick Saban, it was good to be the director of economic development or director of tourism in Tuscaloosa County.
Man.
Or selling real estate at North River starting in 2008.
Oh, my God.
Okay? And 2009 and 10 and 11, right? I mean,
Easiest thing
Saban's
ever.
just winning and you're like, God, I'm really talented.
Yeah.
I mean, I went from selling 8 houses a month to 31 houses a month.
Right.
It must be.
I'm good.
It must have been the podcast I listened
That's
to.
it.
Or the Instagram influencer that told me that they're making $300,000 a month
Sir.
by just getting up every morning. But, I'm just telling you. And look, man, there's some real estate, and there's some talented ones too.
Right.
But there are some people who sell real estate in Oxford who went from making a good living, to making a really good living.
Crushing it.
All right. You went from hey, I sold X amount of units pre-Lane.
Right.
Then Lane started winning. It's amazing. I got better at my job.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I love it.
And so, hey, and don't get me wrong, hitch your wagon to winners in life.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, do that.
Manny Ramirez.
I think one of the greatest quotes I ever heard when you're young, I'm talking about 22, 23, 24. Chase leadership, not money.
No doubt.
And then the money will come. And, so holy smokes, right?
Yeah, man, be a winner.
I mean, in 2003, we hitched our wagon to SEC football.
That was smart.
Okay? I haven't made all good decisions, but that was a good decision. SEC football, tailgating, travel, entertainment, which then led to all us being the food show of the Southeastern Conference. Do we still have a caller?
No, that was our.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right. I forgot. I was just making sure that I was on
RB
point.
with a measured take.
You know what? RB, let's go back to that real quick. Here is the line in Keith Carter's press release after meeting with Lane Kiffin. After Glenn Boyce, Chancellor Boyce, and Keith Carter, AD at Ole Miss, met with Lane Kiffin on Friday. Here's the last sentence in the press release that RB was talking about. And it is, an announcement on Coach Kiffin's future is expected the Saturday following the game.
Love that.
And I do not blame Keith. Keith doesn't know. I mean,
No.
Keith may have gotten up this morning and gotten in his SUV to drive to the football facility. He probably worked till God knows when last night, because he is in one of the most wild spots in the history of collegiate athletics. He's got a sitting head coach that he's still trying to retain.
Right.
And then he's in a full-blown coaching search. So Keith didn't sleep this weekend.
And they're still going to.
And Keith even may not know for sure, but he's decided, he's got an idea of what he believes is going to happen.
Right.
And he's marching through. He's also thinking, we got to win the Friday morning to go to the college football playoff. And as we said last year, I think it's worth north of $50 million to host a game. Because as you know, listening to the show, I've said winning home games, conference home games, I think is worth 15 to 20 million.
Sure.
And I'm inclined to go closer to that 20 million number. Now, in the SEC, as big as it is, and all the celebrating that y'all do, and all the money that y'all spend on tickets and food and lodging and so on. But Keith,
does he know what he's going to do? Like, does he know, all right, if for some reason Lane tries to strong arm this whole deal, which, and it's like, nah, let me coach. I want to coach. Does Keith let him coach? Can you let him coach?
I don't think you can.
I don't think so either.
I don't think you can.
Can't.
No.
Well, I mean, so obviously, like we mentioned in the earlier on, that playoff bid becomes a whole lot more suspect, especially if they were to take an L this week, obviously. But if they're 10-2, they don't get in.
If they're 10-2 and he leaves, there is there's going to be some what's puckered up,
man.
Okay,
ooh, that'd be a tough room to be in,
and you knock yourself out of a home game either way.
Oh yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
if you lose again, this Mississippi State team is not good,
but
and then they played awful football the last time we watched. I mean, I can't remember. This is saying something. I'll switch gears here. We are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Good morning. Welcome in. It's somewhat of a meltdown Monday and like a celebration week with Thanksgiving and rivalry weekend with Ole Miss and Mississippi State and Auburn, Bama and Michigan State, Ohio State, and all the rivalry game, Texas A&M, all the rivalry games that you get. Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech, what the hell?
Come on. What are they doing?
I don't know.
That hurt.
I know. But let me switch gears. We are the Out of Bounds Show. We're driven by your next GMC Sierra truck or GMC Yukon at Fowler GMC, Pearl Brandon. Fowler is Fowler. Fowler GMC for your next pre-owned or new GMC Sierra truck or GMC Yukon, both beautiful vehicles. And FowlerGMC.com if you're looking for a truck or SUV, pre-owned or new. Now, Mississippi State played one of the worst football games I've watched them play, and they played some bad football post Dan Mullen, okay? And you've lived it, and I've lived it. God help all of us. And so, you are who you are this time of year. Ole Miss is one thing underlaying. They're the best at winning close games.
Yeah.
I don't know if this game's going to be close. Honestly, it shouldn't be. But that's why you play it. And we see just this past week, every weekend we see games that we don't think are going to be close, and they are, and then vice versa. But as far as personnel, Ole Miss trumps Mississippi State coaching, blah. But I'll say this. How is Levy going to use Blake Shapen and Kamario Taylor? It was like he was taking crazy pills in Columbia, Missouri. He got really sped up, and he's gotten sped up several times. He got sped up against Arizona State. You were so far ahead the way you played the first half. Arizona State dominated the second half. Levy got sped up, but you ended up making the play, Shapen to Brennan Thompson. Right. You won. You were happy. He got sped up against Tennessee. He got sped up against Texas. He got sped up against Florida. And Missouri was just a disaster.
Right.
Okay?
Oh, man.
And so the one thing that you've got going on is Jeff, all the pressure is on Ole Miss because, you're playing for a bowl game, but they're playing to host a college football playoff game that means 50+ million for the town and that North Mississippi area.
No doubt.
But how are you going to use Shapen and are you going? You can't take crazy pills using them. You need to have it can change and you can improvise and you can pivot, but you need to have a pretty good game plan as to how you're going to use Shapen and Kamario Taylor.
Right.
That whatever was going on in Columbia was nuts. And then your red zone play calling was atrocious. And two, you committed so many penalties. And then your special teams has been a disaster, whether you're still trying to block a field goal that's not going to work and you're getting penalties on it, which is leading the team scoring, and or the snap. So other than that, you should feel really good, Mississippi State fans. I feel like, you're a buttoned-up team on all three phases of the game. I'm kidding.
Yes.
And but, you didn't play with any physicality against Missouri. You're going to need to play with some physicality against Lacey and Trinidad. Because Lacey's probably a top 7 or 8 back in the country.
Yeah.
And Trinidad has proven that when push comes to shove, he can make something out of nothing. So when everything breaks down and all hell is breaking loose, which it does in football at any level, he can make some stuff happen.
Oh, yeah.
I want your thoughts on the Golden Moon Casino text line. 601-885-3776. Steve Robertson at 8:30. Jay Powell at 9 a.m. Tom Luganville at 9:30.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
All systems go.
Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the Bank Plus studio.
This is Out Warning.
Live in the studio. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Streaming live worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9.
All set? Let's go.
The Zone.
Show me the money!
Make sure to tell your boss today.
You gonna show me the money.
We are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. I'm your host, Bo Bounds. Got Straight Funk with me. And this is what the Lane Kiffin watch is for, well, all the programs involved.
He's like a bad drinking game. It just won't end.
Yep, that's no doubt.
I was just doing a little exercise, just wasting time as I normally do, thinking weird stuff.
Well, there you go. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Good morning, good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show, brought to you by Kessler Prime and the Renaissance. KesslerPrime.com to make a reservation, recognized by Wine Spectator for 25 years. And fabulous steaks and seafood and an amazing wine list, atmosphere. KesslerPrime.com in the Renaissance to make a reservation. Want to say good morning, welcome in to the Out of Bounds Show. Let's see, Steven says it's been dead air, no commercials since your break. Interesting.
Nice.
That's awesome. We're streaming live on the Out of Bounds radio app and the zone1059.com, thezone1059.com. People are asking about all these different scenarios. Restoration and Roofing says his decision to stay in this game, I can't read that. If they win Friday, he will want to stay to coach the playoffs. If they lose, he's headed to Baton Rouge. Okay, so there's still some people who believe if he wins the battle for the Golden Egg, that will make him, if he hasn't totally committed to any of the three teams, that then he'll say, I want to stay because I want to coach my team in the playoffs. If he loses, does make it an easier, decision.
Yes.
Because you don't know where you could land, and if you lose for some reason, you're not hosting a game.
Right.
You win, and you are, unless the committee dings you for Lane leaving, but you still got to be in.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
At
11-1.
Oh, at 11-1, yeah, you're in. You get dinged if he's gone, but you're in.
Yeah. Somebody here says the AD statement sounds like an ultimatum to me.
No. I didn't get that vibe.
I don't really get that vibe from Keith Carter's press release after the meeting. I don't at all. They need to win the game because they want to host.
Right.
And, well, they want to be in, period. Even if you don't host. But they want to host just because of what it means for Oxford and Ole Miss.
Sure.
Be the biggest football game in the history of the state of Mississippi. And that's saying something. We've had some big ones in Starkville, Oxford, and Veterans Memorial Stadium, right? So, I mean, Ole Miss has hosted game day twice, Mississippi State once, Jackson State once.
Yeah.
And we've had some other big, moments, many other big moments over the years at Memorial Stadium and in Starkville and Oxford. So, but holy smokes, the economic impact of people being there for 4 nights is Christmas, all that is absolute and total insanity. And it's already really been insanity there the last 5 years because he's won. He's so big on social media. His personality, all the different things. Now, some of that is worn thin the last couple weeks.
No doubt.
Yeah, it's cute and sweet and fun when he's winning and he's not leaving.
Right.
You've seen a little bit of a shift with the percentage of the fan base that says, okay, I'm tired of those antics. But when he's taking shots at other teams, other coaches, I never thought we would have, the Hugh Freeze motivational tweets and scripture didn't surprise me whatsoever. We would all be sitting up here for like a 3-year stretch, and it would hit just about the same time every morning, and we would laugh our you-know-what off.
Every morning.
About 6:20.
Yep.
If I remember correctly.
That's right. That's what it was.
Okay. But Lane Kiffin, of all people, in, dropping scripture and motivational quotes on Twitter is just delicious.
Oh,
I think it's nonsense, but it's unbelievable. But now even that has played out and worn thin with the percentage of the fan base, depending on if he goes to LSU or somewhere else. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, by the end of this, if he keeps dragging it and he leaves, all the Ole Miss people are gonna be, oh, well, we told you he was leaving. I'm glad he left. I mean, glad he left. Oh, and one of his motivational deals he posted the other day. Did you see which number it was?
225. Yeah, I did. And it wasn't as funny as all the 9,000 tweets he's done since 2020, being the head football coach at Ole Miss.
It was pretty.
Because
funny.
again, he's been the most success. I mean, it is the best hire in the history of the state of Mississippi. And you've had successful coaches: Vaught, Polk, Richard Williams, Sherrill, Freeze, Mullen, Bianco, and more. And I mean, Southern Miss has had some great hires.
Absolutely.
Okay. From Jeff Bauer to Bobby Collins to Corky to Hill to currently with Oz and so on. But as far as the best, I know a lot of it's timing, because I can reference other hires from 20, 40, 50 years ago, and Ole Miss, Mississippi State didn't have any money.
Right.
Today, they're both north of $130 million athletic departments, plus a lot of other things going on, ancillary income and revenue generators. And it's just a different day and age. I mean, we can always talk about, well, what if Sherrill would have had this much money, or what if Vaught would have had this? I get it. Yeah. But they didn't, and that's how we have to do it, and it is what it is. But yes, Lane came along at a time when all the schools have money, right, and then he won. And yes, look, we've got Ole Miss fans on the Golden Moon Casino text line that are like, this has been the easiest schedule you could ask for, and he knows it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but he also took advantage of a watered-down league and a schedule that is absolutely delicious, and he wins close games, which is coaching. Again, situational football, Lane and Pete, really, really good. I know he can get sideways through a chunk, every coach can, through a chunk of the game, but because of the way that Ole Miss is built, managed, coached, and the belief that they have in Lane and Golding and some continuity, even when things are real shaky, like the other night when you're down for a long time against Florida, they just have that belief and that stuff that they're like, well, our coaches are going to put us in the right spot, and we're going to make a play. Warranted. And they have. Other than Georgia,
right? They
have. Oklahoma, it's a good win on the road.
Sure was.
And so on. So, and Oklahoma got another win over the weekend against a Missouri team that, for several reasons, has just,
they don't have a quarterback.
Right. I mean, Prabula played.
I mean, they literally don't have one.
But it didn't ever look good, and they were never really a threat to do a whole lot on it. I mean, they shut down Ahmad Hardy, and Mississippi State made him look like Derrick Henry or Adrian Peterson. And while he's a good player, 300-plus yards was absurd. Twitter X at Bowbounds, brought to you by Superior Foundation. And we'll see what the foundation looks like for the Ole Miss football program. But if you have cracks in your foundation, you want to call Superior Foundation. If you need a new driveway or your driveway repaired, Superior Foundation. If you need French drains, Superior. Superior.ms. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. And the Michelob Ultra caller line, 601-707-3750. Good morning. We are the Out of Bounds Show. I'm your host, Bo Bounds, ESPN 1059 The Zone. Brought to you by Rick's Pro Truck. Trucks live here. Number one truck accessory stores in the Southeast. RPT Commercial in Pearl, RPT Flowwood, RPT Gluckstadt, Madison County. RicksProTruck.com. This is 1059 The Zone, ESPN, and we'll have Steve Robertson coming up at 8:30 on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line, and then we'll have Jay Powell, who's with Grit Fitness and Training Facility on Lakeland Drive behind Ergon. He's the director of baseball operations, played at Mississippi State, World Series champ Jay Powell on the show. And Tom Luganbill will join us at 9:30. So that's usually more than we do on a Monday, but we're here for it. And we're locked in. Speaking of locked in, if Lane goes to LSU, LSU plays in Oxford next year. Can you imagine what that will be like? How many Louisiana Mississippi Highway Patrol will you need for that deal? Oh, my gosh. You're talking about nuts.
Man.
So here we go. All right, buckle in. The Lane Train rumor mill is back, and she's running hot.
Yep.
Ole Miss fans are holding on like they're on a Six Flags roller coaster. LSU fans are refreshing FlightAware, FlightAware.com or whatever, any of the ones you want to go to.
Right.
And Florida fans are wondering how they're even in the conversation. Are they still in the conversation?
How are they not?
And then there's the John Summerall party behind Lane Train. James Franklin is off the market. And he was at Penn State. Now he's at Virginia Tech. John Summerall is someone we've been talking about for years. He was interviewed for the Mississippi State job. He was not hired, even though he had head coaching experience. He then has now, he's won at Troy and Tulane. So he's learned and cut his teeth and done it at two different places. Mm-hmm. And the question is Auburn going to land him? Florida going to land him? Or if Ole Miss misses on Lane, if Lane leaves,
right,
does Ole Miss get him? And if LSU misses on Lane, does LSU get John Summerall? Still some Lincoln Riley talk. He can't beat anybody in the top 10 out there, but they've won some games at Southern Cal. I think he's not Lane Kiffin. But there's not many. I mean, it's kind of a Kirby Smart, Ron Day. Kalen DeBoer has been to the national championship game at Washington. That's impressive to me.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah, Marcus Freeman went to the national championship game last year. That's big to me.
Sure.
And then you start having to get into, and then Sark has been to back-to-back playoff appearances, but I think Lane's better than Sark, but Sark does have those two on his resume, or three. He may have three playoff appearances, actually. I think I missed one. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think I did, but I can't remember. And then you get into Lane and some of the otother guys.
Right. Well, Lane maybe
even though he doesn't have a college football playoff appearance, he's won at a super high level. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the Key City, Mississippi Queen caller line, 601-707-3750. Yes, of course, Kiffin makes LSU a national title contender overnight.
Yeah, immediately.
Ed Ogeron and Les Miles won it there. We talk about that all the time. Joe Moorhead could go down there and win at least 8 games.
Yeah.
I may be getting a little ahead of myself. But
he can go 6-6.
Wow. Well, hell, he won 8 in Starkville.
Yeah, barely.
Which is incredible.
I still can't believe he did that.
And didn't want to play Nick Fitzgerald and didn't want to do this and didn't want to do that.
Did everything he could to not win those games, but, that was a caller wanting to ask you about DeBoer possibility to Penn State. Is that
I saw that. I saw that he listed 4 schools when he was at Washington that he would leave for. He did leave for one of them, Alabama.
Yeah.
The other 3 were Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Penn State. The only reason he would want to leave Alabama is if he doesn't like the pressure cooker.
Right, that's it.
I mean, Penn State's a good job, but Bama's a great job. Or path of least resistance because the Big Ten's not good.
Sure.
But I find it hard to believe, but this day and age, who the hell knows? As Ole Miss fans are living. Look, Nick Saban told you he wasn't leaving at LSU. Yeah. He went to the Dolphins. Jimbo Fisher said, I'm not leaving Florida State. He went to A&M. I mean, yeah. Tuberville said, I'm only leaving in a pine box.
Right.
He left Ole Miss to go to Auburn. Brian Kelly said, I'm not leaving Notre Dame. He went to LSU. Yeah. Lane Kiffin left Tennessee to go to Southern Cal. And we could go on and on.
Yeah.
All right, as far as, guys moving and leaving. LSU is a better job. Florida's a better job. Like if Lane's at Ole Miss, if Lane's at LSU, if Lane's at Florida, it's LSU, Florida, Ole Miss.
Yes.
But he has made Ole Miss a much better job. No doubt.
I mean, his impact's going to be felt for quite some time.
And although Oxford was growing, and all the schools, towns, and universities are growing, he accelerated the growth with winning. And then his social media presence does not hurt.
No.
And the fact that the media loves him because he'll say just about anything. Or he'll say what's on his mind.
Right. There we go.
He's not he does a lot. I watch his press conferences like you do. He runs with a lot of coach speak, but you have to because you talk so much to us. All these guys. But Lane will also he also has a message that he wants to deliver the last several years, whether he was talking about the changes in college football or when he point blank looked at Ole Miss alums after the Georgia game 2 years ago in Athens when they got blown out. And that was a call to action, which was smart.
Yeah.
And he said, we have 1 5-star player. They have 24 or whatever he said that night. And we need better players. And, it was a call to action and give Ole Miss credit. They have given everything they can and probably then some,
Yeah.
And I don't know how long this model is sustainable for anybody, but this is where we are. And if you want to win, you have to have a university on campus that's committed. And then, of course, your alums have to be committed. And Ole Miss has done that. Ohio State, Texas A&M, Missouri even. I know they've fallen apart, but they have. They got good players. They've had a little bit of bad luck, and they've had a favorable schedule like Ole Miss. Drink's not quite Lane, and they didn't stay healthy quite where they needed to. And then, of course, Texas and some others. And then as of late, LSU went all in this past year. It's just they were a train wreck with Brian Kelly and the staff. And we'll see. Don't forget that there's 2 staffers down at LSU that we've told you about the last year. Austin Thomas left Lane to go back to LSU. They were hell on wheels together for the first 2 years of the big NIL boom. And then Kelvin Bolden, who played at Southern Miss, Lane or somebody around Lane was smart enough to hire him, and Bolden went to LSU. Austin Thomas and Kelvin Bolden right now are at LSU. We are the Out of Bounds Show. Steve Robertson coming up next on ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Brought to you by the Chicken Fried Chicken at Burgers Blues Barbecue B3 in Dogwood, Flowwood today. That's the blue plate. Steve Robertson next. Good morning. The Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. I'm your host, Bo Bounds. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for making us your sports and entertainment show of choice. The show is brought to you by Starkville, Mississippi, Mississippi's college town. Direct flights from Atlanta and Dallas-Fort Worth every day. 12 minutes from campus, right into the Golden Triangle Regional Airport. I have flown in and out of there several times. It's great because when you get older, you love smaller airports. I mean, you can land and you're out of there in 2 minutes. All right, direct flights from Dallas, Fort Worth, and Atlanta. Book yours today straight into the Golden Triangle area. FlyStarkville.org, FlyStarkville.org. Also, shout out to Two Brothers Smoked Meats and Older Brother Bistro. They'll be open this week. Starkville hosts the Battle for the Golden Egg Friday, 11 a.m. Barton Dinkins, one of the best pit masters and chefs in the SEC. If you haven't been there in a while or if you've never been, Two Brothers in the historic Cotton District, Older Brother Bistro, elevated dining in the historic Cotton District. We welcome in Steve Robertson, genespage.com, 247 Sports. His site's on fire. Steve, you know the drill. Battle for the Golden Egg Friday morning at 11 a.m. It has been a while since 2022 since Mississippi State has won this game. So let's jump right into it. Ole Miss is better on both sides of the ball, and they have a better coaching staff. They're favored by 7.5. How does Mississippi State find a way to put themselves in position to win this game in the fourth quarter?
You got to protect Blake Shapen. You got to run the football. And probably most importantly, you got to be able to slow the run down a little bit. You're not going to stop it. I mean, Lacey's too good, and that offensive line is good. So you're not going to stop it, but you got to get some stops. I tell you, the thing that jumps out to me in my review of Ole Miss is their specialists are really good. I mean, they can flip the field on you. I mean, almost half the punts are like 50-plus yards. They don't give you much on kickoff returns. So you've got to earn everything, against this Ole Miss defense. So they just don't make a lot of mistakes in special teams. And I think there's some plays that can be made against the secondary. They're not necessarily a big turnover team. I think they have 9, which is next to last in the league. But there's just so many factors in this ball game, and there's so many ways that State's got to be better. You got to hope if you're Mississippi State that this Ole Miss team shows up and is a little bit distracted. And people, it's not just about the playoff, right? I mean, it's about the long-term future of each student athlete, because you start thinking, if Lane Kiffin is really leaving, do I go with him? Do I stay here? Do I get in the portal and just start over? And if you don't think those conversations are being had, you're kidding yourself.
Yeah, and you wonder how much, because you just laid out how much they have to overcome as far as talent and coaching. And Mississippi State has not been well coached this year. It is a rivalry game. Yes, some years crazy things happen. And then, Steve, I also look at it like this. There are a lot of years where just the better team wins. So it's, you kind of weigh in both these things. I don't think Fluff has been healthy since coming back and trying to play. Tip of the cap for doing that. Do you feel like after a 2-week rest that there is an opportunity to see either a 100% or like 95% Fluff Bothwell at running back?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be 100% until the spring, but I do think you're going to see a healthier Fluff Bothwell. And I think this offensive line with a healthier Albert Reese, I think in some respects you might even be able to make the case that Albert Reese may be State's most important offensive player, because when he hadn't been in there, it is at times been a jailbreak, and you get free runners to the quarterback. And people get emotional when your quarterback gets sacked, and sometimes the quarterback gets the blame for it, and sometimes they deserve it. And other times, man, this offensive line, when you've had to play musical chairs this year, it's been an adventure. And so I think getting Albert Reese back, we spoke with him yesterday, and says he's good to go. And, started at left guard against Mizzou, but things didn't really kind of move a little bit better until he moved out to right tackle. And so I think having him back, and then Fluff being closer to 100%. Booth, of course, obviously, kind of gives you some juice as well. So,
he's a good player. I mean,
absolutely,
no doubt.
Yeah.
What did you feel like what was your takeaway, or what did you feel like you learned, if anything, on the press conference yesterday?
Nothing. And I think it's a great thing, right? I mean, I think, and I made mention on my own show, and I'm actually doing a show like every day this week in honor of the Egg Bowl. But you know what's crazy is like I thought Brandon Langlois made some really good decisions. You bring in Vernon Thompson, you bring in Albert Reese, you bring in Nick Mitchell. Like these are seniors, they're veteran guys. They're not going to say anything that redirects the narrative, right? They're not going to go out there and give Ole Miss any bulletin board material. You know, Brennan Thompson said, the only thing I know is that we hate them. You know, well, you're going to get that in every rivalry press conference all week long, you know. So I thought they handled it well, and I think they were probably prepared. And what's interesting, too, is like nobody asked anybody, you know, about Lane Kiffin or any of this stuff yesterday. Now, Lebby was asked about it last week and just kind of dismissed the question.
Sure.
But, but nobody's really saying anything. I think that Mississippi State is content to let Ole Miss just kind of stay in the headlines and kind of deal with all of this on their own.
Okay. Steve Robertson, genespage.com, 247 Sports. Steve joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Taste Italian Kitchen will be open Thursday and Friday this week in Starkville. I mean, there'll be one to let you know if you want to party. And I'm getting text on the text line of people driving up after Thanksgiving lunch to Starkville. All right, let's go through Isaac Smith. What's the latest as far as the whatever you want to call him, DB linebacker on the defensive side of the football for Mississippi State? What's the latest on his injury or health?
Yeah, he's the star backer, but yeah, we fully expect him to be full go this weekend. You know, and it was smart to sit him last week and just make sure that he's ready. But yeah, we expect him to be full go. Matter of fact, I mean, outside of some guys that are out for the year, I just don't think there's going to be anybody that doesn't at least give it a go, you know, this weekend. But I expect Isaac Smith to be, you know, much closer to 100% than he's been in the last few weeks.
Levy's gotten sped up in several games, Steve, and you can't get sped up. And he's still young and trying to figure out this whole head coaching thing. Yeah, you got, I could say Arizona State second half, Tennessee, Texas, Florida, and Missouri all got sped up different ways and so on. The one thing you can't do Friday, even if Ole Miss jumps out to a 7-0 lead, is change your game plan. You know, I think you've got to, as long as you can, you've got to commit to running Fluff and Booth, because I think you can have some success there. Do you agree? And how do you see it as far as me throwing out that Levy's gotten sped up and the last thing he can do is do that Friday against Kiffin and Golding?
I think all that's fair. You know, like I go back to the Texas game, you know, it's like, and I think this is the offensive coordinator mentality. I'm not being critical. I'm just kind of talking about the natural maturation of a coach. You know, offensive coordinators want the kill shot, right? I mean, you want to get the game as quickly as possible, but sometimes it doesn't work out the way you want, and then you kind of gas your defense out. And I think against this Ole Miss team, you know, because Trinidad can run the football too. I think he's got 444 yards.
Yeah.
And so they're going to be able to run the football. Now, how much success kind of remains to be seen. But if Ole Miss goes out there and puts together, you know, 6-7 minute drive, and then you go out there and it's a 1 minute drive and you go 3 and out and you give it right back to them and they put together another 4 or 5 minute, 12, 13, 14 play drive, your defense is going to gas out. And I think you have to consider the fourth quarter when you're managing your offense in the first half. You have to make sure that you're not letting a very good Ole Miss team kind of dictate terms to you. Now, Levy, I'm sure, is going to come out and have a great drive scripted for that first possession. To go out there and try to get a score, get the crowd ignited, because you need that if you're Mississippi State. You're going to have what's going to be a sellout crowd. I'm sure it's going to be somewhat partisan too. You know, it's going to be some Ole Miss people that show up, but it's going to be a lot of Mississippi State people there. I mean,
sure.
Some of the social media conversation about this is absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, you got to get the crowd ignited. And there's a lot of students, of course, that are coming back, you know, for the game. They'll enjoy Thanksgiving with the family, and we appreciate them coming back. But I think the main thing you got to do if you're Jeff Levy is you've got to manage the game and not just treat it like it's Madden. And that's not me being critical, but you just got to go out there and think, you know what, I've got to protect my defense, because somebody gave me this graphic over the week, that Lane Kiffin has not won a game in the fourth quarter that he's trailed by 7 more points since he's been at Ole Miss. I haven't done my own research, but this is a pretty credible person. And so that's the thing you think about. You got to get this game at home to the fourth quarter and hopefully have a lead, and then let that crowd help will you to victory.
Steve Robertson talking Battle for the Golden Egg, Friday, 11 a.m. kickoff, ABC, right there in Starkville, Mississippi. And will it be Lane's last game? Do you think it's Lane Kiffin's last game in Oxford, or as the Ole Miss coach?
I do, but I would never lay money on this because Lane is so unpredictable, not just as a play caller, but as a person, right? I mean, you just never know. You think based on the statement made Friday, it certainly sounds like that he's leaving. You know, you talk to people in Baton Rouge that seem to have a clue. They seem to think he's leaving too. And you talk to people in Gainesville and you hear that they're already doing due diligence with other candidates because it doesn't appear they're getting Lane Kiffin. And so you talk to enough people, you can hear whatever you want to. But at the end of the day, the only person I think knows for sure is Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
And, he may have told Keith Carter something on Friday and changed his mind today. I mean, he's a little bit of a wild card in that respect. And that may be one of the things that makes him a great coach, And so at the end of the day, I based on the context clues, I think he's leaving. And I think it's one of those things, too, that, I see a lot of people out there in the Mississippi State media doing the Jedi mind trick and things like that. At the end of the day, it's a yes or no thing. But the context clues certainly lead you to think that he's leaving.
All right. The John Summerall sweepstakes. You and I have been talking about him for years because I thought Mississippi State should have hired him, and they could have a couple of years ago, and they decided to go with Levy and so on. But he's continued. He won at Troy. He won at Tulane. So this could be wild depending on what Lane decides. It's like Lane's got to make his decision to clear traffic for Summerall, possibly Drink, and some of these other guys. Steve, what do you think about the Summerall sweepstakes?
I think the only person that's in a better position right now than John Summerall is Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, I agree.
Lane's going to get his pick. But, this situation with John Summerall in Florida may prove to be a great marriage. Now, you got to think about if you're the Scott Strickland side, it's about hiring another G5 coach. I mean, are they going to let you do that? But
got to.
I people told me yesterday that Summerall really would prefer to bring his full staff with him, and a lot of discussion that Auburn really wants to hang on to Durkin, and that could be a sticking point in this. And I'm sure Scott Strickland's like, I don't care who you hire. So that's something to watch too, because I agree with you. Kiffin is going to set the market, and then from there, the rest of the dominoes will kind of fall. And again, being up in Columbia, Missouri, that people up there are just resigned to the fact that he's leaving and going somewhere else. They just don't know where. So I guess we'll see, but it's just so interesting how John Summerall was a guy that we talked about just a couple of years ago that was one of the finalists for the Mississippi State job. Ultimately, the top two, Lebby and John Summerall. And Summerall, of course, wins conference championship at Troy. Now he's going to play for a conference championship at Tulane. The guy's just simply a winner. And so somebody's going to get a good coach. And it may be Ole Miss, it may be Auburn, it may be Florida. I guess we'll see. But until Lane Kiffin makes a full announcement and a full decision and executes that decision, there's not going to be a ton of movement within the SEC.
All right. Brent Key at Georgia Tech's another guy. It's his alma mater. He's done a great job. Boy, to me, Brent Key fits John Coe. You and I know John as well as you can know John. You know him better, but we know him. If for some reason Auburn missed on Summerall, man, I would think that Auburn may throw one hell of a contract at Brent Key. Would that surprise you?
I might have already done that if I was Auburn. I mean, they're 9-2 right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still mixed to win the league and potentially go to the playoff at Georgia Tech, who really hadn't done much at all in the last decade. And he's got experience. He's got links to Auburn. I mean, there's just a lot there that makes a lot of sense. The thing that I think about the Drink thing, and you mentioned knowing John as well as I do and you do, Drink and or Kiffin and John Cohen that just makes just very interesting bedfellows. You know what I mean? I just don't know that personality wise there's the fit there. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, Auburn's always looking for an Auburn man, right? I mean, you hear that all the time. This is an Auburn man, and so there's probably going to be somebody with some connection to Auburn. Of course, Drink spend time at Auburn as well, but that personality. I could see some conversations with Drink and Cohen get a little bit elevated, shall we say?
All right. Do you believe Drink's gone somewhere?
I do, but I don't know where he's going to go. Right? I mean, that's the thing. It's like until Lane puts the corner piece of this puzzle on the table, either he's going to stay or he's going to go. I think a lot of people are just in a holding pattern. If somehow Kiffin doesn't go to LSU, I think they probably make a push to get Drinkwitz.
Okay.
And then we'll kind of see how it goes from there. A lot of people in Como were talking about Drink going to Penn State, and they cover that beat obviously a lot closer than I do. I haven't heard a whole lot about Drink in Penn State until we went to Como, and they think that's their biggest concern right now.
Charles Huff. I know they've lost a couple of games, but you look what he has done and what he walked into after they won one game. He has done a hell of a job, and he may stay another. If you made me bet $100, I'd say he's gone. UCLA offered. I don't think he wants it. I don't think he wants to go out there. They've never committed. How do you get the assistant coaches pull up to snuff to where those guys can live in that area? I mean, there's a lot going on there, as you know, Steve. But you're from right outside of Hattiesburg. You and I've covered Southern Miss just because of what we do for years. He's done a hell of a job. I'm happy for them. Do you think he's there next year?
Probably not, but I don't think he leaves for a Power 4 job because I think he's had that opportunity at Marshall and hadn't been able to get the offer. I think where you might see Southern Miss have to make a move is I think Huff probably benefits from the backfill. Like if Alex Golish takes a job,
South Florida,
maybe Huff makes sense at South Florida.
Yeah.
If Ryan Silverfield takes a job, then I think Huff makes great sense at Memphis, But he's proven to be a guy that can do some amazing things. And I'll be honest with you, he's done better than I expected, not just this year, but just in his time as a head coach. Now, he's a very polished and guy that can really communicate his vision well.
Oh.
But it's just interesting to me when you consider what he did at Marshall. Why did he not get a Power 4 opportunity then? What more does he have to prove? But I haven't heard a lot of buzz about it, but I do think if you're Southern Miss, you got to watch the backfill.
Okay. Yeah, Huff's done a great job. That South Florida job's a hell of a job. If Alex Golish, for our listeners, goes somewhere else, he's the head coach currently. And like Steve says, this is going to be a trickle-up effect, lots of backfilling as this thing, once Lane says, I'm staying or going. Steve Robertson, genespage.com, 247 Sports. Hit his site this week. It's on fire. Before we get out, I want to hit one more thing on the battle for the Golden Egg. You know that I don't believe that Coleman Hutzler's a legit Power 4 coordinator. However, he may pull something out of it. I mean, maybe Mike McIntyre, and Paul Rhodes have really been able to lean in the last 12 or 13 days to put together a game plan against a top 5 play caller in Lane Kiffin, who can make you look stupid quickly. So what does Hustler and the defense, what do they have to do to give this team an opportunity to pull this upset?
Well, I think you got to create turnovers. And, last year the defense played well enough to win the Egg Bowl. That's the thing. You go back, and Michael Van Buren missed his 3 wide-open touchdown passes in that game. And it was a one-score game to about 7-8 minutes late. And then Lane gets pre-scoring paired up on Hunter Washington, one of State's, shorter safeties, and throws it up back of the end zone, puts a game away, And so, defensively, I thought they had a good game plan against Ole Miss last year with less talent. So we'll see what happens this year. But, yeah, I think the main thing is you got to go out there and create some turnovers. You got to give your offense some extra possessions. And, if this thing turns into a shootout, the team that gets a couple stops is going to win the ball game. And, I think that's where the turnovers could be a big factor in this. You got to get them off schedule a little bit.
Do you want to talk coaching changes, or you want to go after next week after the battle for the Golden Egg?
I think I'd rather wait, just because I think there's still I don't think the verdict is in any way. So
Okay. All right. Anything else that I didn't hit as far like your thoughts as you're looking at this matchup, Ole Miss against Mississippi State on Friday?
Well, you just never know what the collective psyche of a team is going to be. I mean, you never know. I mean, like last year, let's be honest, that Ole Miss team kind of showed up somewhat disinterested in the Edge.
Yeah.
And kind of got going a little bit later. You know, State should have been up a couple scores early in that game, but there's a lot of woulda shouldas out there. But Ole Miss wins the game ultimately. You got to wonder though, this year they may not be disinterested. I mean, it's maybe downright distracted, and you got to wonder too, playing on the road, if things start going south for you, you know, what's your leadership going to do? And I think I think Mississippi State wants to play this football game a whole lot more than Ole Miss does. I think, you know, no matter what happens on Friday, you know, Ole Miss has still got something else to play for, right? Either it be a bowl game or the FBS playoff, you know. And so for Mississippi State, this is everything. You lose Friday, your season's over. And so typically, I always kind of look at that stuff like it's almost like the NCAA baseball regional, right? When you're 2-0 in the regional and you just need to win a game, you get up that morning planning to win a game. The team that's coming out of the losers bracket gets up knowing they got to win 2 games. And so sometimes the mental edge favors that team. Because if you have a winner-take-all regional final, how many times do we see the team from the losers bracket come back and win it? Happens a lot.
Sure. How important, I've only got a minute, how important is it that Levy doesn't take crazy pills in playing Shapen and Camario, that there's actually a good plan and they're not just running in and out all the time?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be measured in what you do, you know, and I think the game itself will dictate a lot of that. The game will let you know, and there may be a situation where you put Camario in there and maybe you work on some package stuff. But, you know, at the end of the day, I just think Coach Levy just has to make the football play, and I'm sure Blake Shapen's going to start. If you go down, you get up 7-0, get a stop and have a chance to go up 2 scores, you absolutely have to do that. And that's kind of been State's Achilles heel this year on offense. Is they've been able to get a lead, but they haven't been able to expand the lead, except with rare exception. Of course, you had that Texas debacle in the fourth quarter, but the reality of it is State at times has not been able to stand prosperity, and so I think you ride with the hot hand. I mean, if you put Camario in and he leads the drive, just stick with him. Don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it. Don't get sped up. All right. Thanks, Steve.
See ya.
Genespage.com, 247 Sports, brought to you by Two Brothers. Fantastic restaurant and bar and Older Brother Bistro in Starkville, Mississippi. Show is brought to you by Mississippi's College Town. Direct flights daily from Dallas, Fort Worth, and from Atlanta. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Show is also brought to you by Taste Italian Kitchen in Starkville. It will be open on Thursday and Friday. Jay Powell, World Series champ. Grit Fitness and Training on Lakeland Drive will join us next.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
All systems go.
Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the Bank Plus studio.
This is our warning.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
All systems go.
Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the Bank Plus studio. And on your radio. WRKS Pickens Jackson.
At
The
Grainger,
Zone.
we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting...
All right. Good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. The show is brought to you by Grit Fitness and Training Facility on Lakeland Drive behind Ergon and Mirror Lake. They have a big all-skills camp tomorrow. And they've got guys like Connor Griffin, Jake Mangum, JT Ginn that will be there, all at Grit Fitness and Training Facility from 9 a.m. to noon, ages 6 to 12 tomorrow at Grit. Train with the pros, Grit Fitness and Training on Lakeland Drive. This is 105.9 The Zone ESPN. We have former Mississippi State pitcher and World Series champ Jay Powell, who is the director of baseball operations for Grit Fitness and Training, and I think he's in a deer stand somewhere in rural Mississippi. Jay Powell, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Bo, how you doing, man? I actually, you can tell how much I think of you because I actually got out of the stand and got in my truck and drove over to Belzona so I can make sure I have some good service for you.
Dude, thank you for doing that. So you just started a couple of months ago at Grit Fitness and Training, and they really wanted you to lead the baseball program. How's it been going the last couple of months, Jay?
It's been busy. We've had a lot of kids come through, especially on the pitching side. We did some stuff a little differently with some of the program stuff and that, and I've got it's the thing I think I found out this fall is, of course, each kid is differently, each situation's differently. So, and that's the way I kind of do it. I mean, I've got some high school kids, I've got some older kids, I've got some younger kids. So you kind of have to develop a program that's going to benefit each one and try to get them to where they want to be. But it's been busy. It's been good.
Jay Powell on the Out of Bounds Show. Will Warren will be there tomorrow morning at Grit Fitness and Training. All right, Connor Griffin.
Yep.
JT Ginn, Jake Mangum. I mean, look, you played at the highest level, first-round pick, World Series champ. These are some damn good baseball players that'll be there tomorrow morning, Jay.
Yeah, they're a lot more talented than I was. I promise you. They, we're fortunate, man, and I was thinking about that as you're talking about it. I mean, just to be around the central Mississippi area and to have the kind of baseball guys that we have there, and all those guys work out there. They're honestly kind of a part of our facility. We enjoy seeing them. It's a blessing for them to be around there. But to have the kind of guys we have just in around this area, and for them to be willing to kind of come back and spend some time with the kids, and we do this every year, and it's become a big thing, and the kids enjoy it, and they get to see some guys who, these are the guys they're watching on TV, and they just happen to be from really the metro area, which makes it a lot more special.
This is too cool. Connor Griffin, Jake Mangum, JT Ginn, Will Warren, and more will be at Grit Fitness and Training on Lakeland Drive tomorrow for their all-skills camp, 9 a.m. to noon. And as Jay Powell said, who played with the best, Mississippi State first-rounder, World Series champ, this is a loaded lineup. And what the metro area started doing and Jay knows better than anybody coaching at Jay and Prep and now leading Grit, what's happened the last 15 to 20 years in the metro area, Jay, is simply remarkable. All these kids that have signed big-time colleges and gone on to play Major League Baseball.
I've always said, and I said this throughout professional baseball, Mississippi is one of the most overlooked baseball areas. And I think it's starting to obviously change as far as the way people approach it. But you look at the talent that has came out of the state over, the last 10 years, but you go all the way back for, forever. I mean, it's been a very talent-rich area. And I think that has a lot to do with our public schools and our private schools around the area. I mean, they've got some great coaches, and they do a good job of developing these kids. And, I mean, you look at the private schools with what's around, and then you look at the public schools. I mean, there's some really good players that have come through here. So it's fun. It's fun for me to watch now from a little bit on the outside. But man, these kids are super talented.
When you start working with a pitcher, we just had someone ask this on our text line. When you start working with a young man, what's the first thing you start with as far as you start to in the first session?
Well, the first session, I tell them all. I said, look, I'm going to be doing a lot of watching. Like, we're going to get on the mound, we're going to throw, but I'm just going to kind of observe. And I start from the bottom and work up. I want to make sure the direction on the bottom half is good. We want to make sure they don't drift down the mound. So I kind of start from the waist down, and we start working with that, because a lot of times if a kid's not, I call it kind of getting back on his backside and using his legs, that has a tendency to throw the top half off too. So if you're rushing down the hill, which so many kids do, then once you kind of correct that, sometimes that allows that top half to work. It allows your arm to catch up. So I start from the bottom and kind of work my way up. And that's normally what I do. I'm a big guy on direction. I don't think, we got so much energy, we want to deliver the ball to the plate, and we don't want to lose that energy left or right offline. So I want to keep all that energy directly directed to the plate to get maximum velocity, to get maximum command. So to me, it's starting from the bottom and kind of working up.
World Series champ Jay Powell on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line, director of baseball operations for Grit Fitness and Training. They're taking it to another level. They have a big all-skills camp tomorrow, and it's 9 a.m. to noon, ages 6 to 12. And Jake Mangum, JT Ginn, Connor Griffin, Will Warren, among others, will be there with Jay Powell. And these are the type things that they're going to do to set themselves apart. Train with the pros, yep. Powered by Grit Fitness and Training on Lakeland Drive. All right, Jay, I got 2 more minutes here before we let you go, and I hope that you kill a deer so that I can have some deer meat and deer sausage for the holidays. But you've been around. What is your as far as being impressed with Brian O'Connor, what's the most impressive thing about him to date?
I love his intensity, maybe the wrong word. I think anytime you come in to a new situation, you have to kind of put your stamp on it. And I think he's done that. I think he's raised the bar in terms of the way Mississippi State practices, the way they approach their practice, and the intensity level of the practice. And I think that's something, honestly, that we probably needed. And that part of it, I'm a field guy. Like, I love watching coaches and, take away the recruiting, what he's done recruiting, which has, been incredible. But I think that was a big thing. And Brian, to me, is going to be a very hands-on guy. And I think he's, from what he's done, he's just changed the whole, to me, atmosphere and the kind of the way that program is running. I mean, it's a lot more intense right now than it was probably the last couple of years.
I agree. I spent about 10 minutes with him one-on-one 2 weeks ago. He's Nick Saban-like intense. He's Jay Powell, director of baseball operations for Grit Fitness and Training on Lakeland Drive. Train with the pros tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. to noon, ages 6 to 12. And it's a star-studded lineup. Jake Mangum, JT Ginn, Connor Griffin, Will Warren, among others. Jay Powell will do it again soon. Thank you, my man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Jay Powell, director of baseball operations, World Series champ, first rounder out of Mississippi State. And he is now leading the way at Grit Fitness and Training on Lakeland Drive. And they've got indoor turf, outdoor turf, pitching mounds, batting cages, and plenty of places to work out and monthly memberships. Grit Fitness and Training, Lakeland Drive. Good morning. Out of bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. One of the most unpredictable people in sports. The Lane Kiffin watch continues. Oxford, Baton Rouge, Gainesville, maybe some other places. And right now it is on Lane's time. And he will coach the battle for the Golden Egg on Friday at 11 a.m. in Starkville. Ole Miss at Mississippi State. Ole Miss a favorite as they should be. It's on ABC, 11 a.m. ABC on Friday morning. The total 62.5. So we will we'll see. We'll see.
I don't hit that.
I think he's leaving, but you know, again, Lane is a wild card. He is unpredictable.
Yeah.
And nothing would surprise me. Staying, going, something else opening. I mean,
yeah.
Nothing would surprise me.
Hey, the NFL is still a wild card here.
The NFL will always be a wild card.
Yeah, I mean,
because the NFL is the promised land.
You can't negate it. Like, it's there.
And we'll see. ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Bo Bounds, Jackson Meadows with you. Hey, I wanted to let you know on the big Grit Fitness and Training camp tomorrow. Train with the pros.
Yeah.
All skills camp. And we mentioned Connor Griffin, Jake Mangum, JT Ginn, Will Warren, among others.
Think they're any good?
Yeah, that will be there on Lakeland Drive at Grit Fitness and Training. And it's a camp for ages 6 to 12. All right? Pitching, hitting, fielding, all that stuff. But it's benefiting Friends of Children's Hospital and Little Lighthouse of Central Mississippi.
Okay.
So two great organizations, again, benefiting Friends of Children's Hospital and Little Lighthouse of Central Mississippi. And that's all in Flowood. Train with the pros, Grit, Fitness, and Training. Jake Mangum, Connor Griffin, among others. Boom. There you go. And that's going to be a ton of fun. Jay Powell, Director of Baseball Operations, will be there.
I wonder how many people they're going to have out there.
It's going to be packed.
It could be a chunk.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot of star power.
That's big time power.
It's a good, the kids are, I didn't realize it till
they're out of school, aren't they?
The St. Joe parking lot's empty.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't think about that.
Right.
They're out of school. So all these kids have access to going if you made the cut or if you could get in to go to the camp. And it's a good week being Thanksgiving week and so on. Unnamed texter, Bo, Kalen DeBoer to Penn State, then Lane Train to Bama. Nothing would surprise me.
Oh, That's got to.
No.
Oh, come on.
Nothing would surprise me.
No way.
But if DeBoer wins, I mean, it's only 5.5 point line. But Bama at Auburn on Saturday. If DeBoer wins, Bama's in. So,
oh yeah,
that's all day. Kind of look at that. And now that Oklahoma loss, brutal.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bama at Auburn is 6:30 ABC on Saturday, and Bama's laying 5.5 in that game.
That's not enough.
So DJ Durkin against Kalen DeBoer. And Bama doesn't have a running game.
No.
So Auburn could muck this thing up. Look, Bama should win, but a lot of things should happen on a daily basis. Again, there's too many variables with 18 to 23-year-olds. You got to play it out. Heck, 2 weeks ago, I thought Bama was going to do what they need to do against Oklahoma, and they led in every statistical category you wanted to lead, but the damn turnovers were tough. No, somebody just asked me, I'm not even sure he knows what he wants to do. That wouldn't surprise me either with Lane Kiffin.
Right.
Nothing. Again, he's no one knows. They don't know. They may think they know, and that's okay. With people in the business are gathering as much information as they can, and they're coming up with what they think may happen. But Ole Miss is not going to stop full court press. LSU's not going to stop full court press, and I don't even think Florida's going to stop.
No,
until
it's over,
right? Unless told they're like point blank out of the running,
right?
Yeah, he's a wild. Y'all know this. He's a wild card, and he's unpredictable and uber talented. Kind of like some of the lead singers in some of the best bands. I mean, wildly talented, but who the hell knows what they're going to do? You don't know.
No.
But Lane has exceeded everyone's expectations from when he left Florida Atlantic to go to Ole Miss. And here we go. Tom Luganville will join us next, by the way. I think he's leaving, but I wouldn't be surprised if something else happens. And that just LSU's such a great job.
It's so big. Is it worth foregoing coaching in the playoff?
That's the deal. Can he do that? He may not can.
Is there any part of you that thinks Lane can do both? Or is that just completely off the table here?
I think it'll be completely off the table.
I agree.
For Keith Carter.
I agree. Whether he wants it to be or not, it's off the table.
Because Keith's going to want to.
No, he's got to move on.
If he is leaving, Keith's going to want to hire a coach next week.
Dang right.
So he's already working, as we speak, on the backup plan if Lane doesn't go back or stay. And that's the John Summerall sweepstakes. And then from there, I don't know, can you lift Brent Key from Georgia Tech? Ryan Silverfield's done a fantastic job at Memphis. Matt Campbell, Keith went down that road last time at Iowa State. He hasn't seemed to want to leave. But, it's something weird up there. I mean, Ferentz has never left Iowa.
That's right.
Beamer never left Virginia Tech. Snyder never left Kansas State. There's a couple other examples. But anyway, this guy from Atlanta that's listening to the show says Lane is Mark Richt 2.0.
Wow.
Damn.
Wow. He's up.
Wow.
Simmer
Guess
down.
what? Texas still sucks.
Wow. Okay.
Easy boy.
Just trying to find some recruits.
What? So Lane is Mark Richt 2.0. He's better than Mark Richt. Lane is better. He may not be a better person, but because I know everybody has a love affair with Mark Richt, as a person. That's great. But Lane's better than Mark Richt. He is. And I know he hadn't had the longevity that Richt had, winning 9 to 10 plus games a year at Georgia. But Richt was never going to be the championship coach that they wanted, and now Kirby Smart is. How about that? And Kirby's going to win another one.
Yeah.
I don't know when, but he's young. He's not even 50. And Kirby Smart's going to win another national championship, if not, maybe 2 more. Maybe, who knows? Depending on how long he wants to go. The same Atlanta listener says he can't win the big game. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Tom Luganville next. Good morning. We are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Show is brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in any of the 82 counties in the state of Mississippi. Competitive rates powered by Farm Bureau Insurance. We welcome in our friend Tom Luganbill, National College Football Analyst with ESPN. And Lugs joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Tom Luganbill, you're the son of a coach. You coached. You started at the Power 4 level. You've been around this your whole life. A lot of these guys are quirky and weird, and that's why we love them. Is there anyone more unpredictable or more of a wild card than Lane Kiffin in the coaching profession, Lugs?
Not in recent history. This thing is turning into like an old school signing day announcement. And
true.
Let's just, let's sit him at the table with 4 or 5 hats and see which one he picks. And, I think at the end of the day, if he's staying, just announce it, right? I mean, why put this off to the Egg Bowl? Ensure that your team is settled in, not just for the Egg Bowl, but for a college football playoff run and potential chase of a national championship, because without that and not knowing, you literally take this scenario, and granted, his team has handled these distractions really, really well.
Sure.
Right? A year ago at this time, they did not. But you're also talking about going into this game, let's forecast and just hypothetically say he decides to announce that he's leaving. Now you've got a football team that's going to have an interim coach getting ready to go into the college football playoff. You got a team that's leaving to take another job. All right. Has anybody asked the question how many guys are going in the transfer portal? How many guys could potentially say, I'm going to sit out? Because everybody says, nobody would sit out a college football playoff game. Well, it's going to happen at some point. At some point it's going to happen. And it may take a late coaching change like this that could kind of light the fuse of that becoming a reality. If it's not Ole Miss, if it could be somebody else. But the timing of all of this just sucks. At the end of the day, for Ole Miss, for the kids, Lane Kiffin's going to be fine. But you just feel like, all right, if you're staying, just announce it.
All right, what do you think? You think he's staying or going?
No, I think he's going. I think we would know if he was staying. I think it would have already been settled, and they could move on, and you could prepare for the Egg Bowl knowing you've got continuity and stability, and you'd go to the playoff with the same thing. And, the fact that hasn't, that's the easy thing to do, to ease all tensions, to be the best prepared you can for the best performances on the field. So, no, I don't think he's staying.
All right, with the leveling of the playing field, which we've talked to you about dozens of times, and the watering down of college football in the SEC, although the games – we're getting closer games and more, because the game that we all love was kind of driven by blowouts, to be honest, prior to all this. Kind of like high school football, and the NFL's not. But at the end of the day, do you just think it's the allure of LSU? And you may think Florida's still in it, and that's fine. But the allure of just a little bit more of a bump, even in this day and age, because the brand, and you're the only game in town, and the fact that 3 different coaches, 2 of them who I don't consider great coaches, have won national championships in Baton Rouge in the 2000s, Luke?
Yeah, I think that it's certainly not about money. He's already created generational wealth. He doesn't have to make decisions to put food on the table. I think this is about a new challenge. I do think it's about believing maybe deep down in his soul that getting Ole Miss to the SEC championship game or winning an SEC championship is a greater challenge at Ole Miss than it's going to be at an LSU. And, you're right. There's history there that would tell you that. You don't have a Power 4 competitor in the conference. You have a great bounce back scenario of, let's just say, kids that were to decide to leave the state of Louisiana, which there are very few. But if they do, they're coming home through the transfer portal at some point or another if you want them. My biggest question in all of this is, what is the autonomy level? Because right now at Ole Miss, he controls every element of it. allocation of funds, allocation of resources, name, image, and likeness, the portal. He has a say in the settlement allocation. How many hands are going to be in the cookie jar at another place? Or can he get in writing? Because I think that's what this all comes down to. If you get in writing that you have complete and total control of decision-making process in every one of those aspects I just mentioned, then that changes, I think, the decision for him. And I think that's what he's been seeking. And if he gets it, by all means, he should be in a very, very fruitful situation with a university that has resources that can match anybody in the country. And that would be attractive to him, because if you're not getting that, you're giving it up. And giving it up can be dangerous in this landscape.
Yeah, Tom Luganville, national college football analyst with ESPN. He joins us on the Out of Bounds show, brought to you by Taste Italian Kitchen in the Renaissance and Taste Italian Kitchen in Starkville. Fantastic dining experience. All right. So he grew up and became, to a certain extent, and I know he's still got lane drama, but guy, he's unbelievable at managing a program and play calling and staffing and all this. Look at what he did at Ole Miss. Can you imagine, let's just say over a 5 to 6 year period, what he can accomplish in Baton Rouge, Luke's?
Well, yeah, I think, the number one thing that makes him attractive in all of this, and you have to give him a ton of credit here, is he was so far ahead from a vision perspective of what was about to happen in college football. And he got so out in front of it that it put the Ole Miss program in a position that they had never been before. Because he attacked the portal, he attacked name, image, and likeness. He got a whiff that, wait a minute, there's not going to be any rules? Wait a minute, I can go out and just poach players with no downside. I can raid other rosters. We can fundraise here, and we can afford to do it, and nobody's going to come back and say, you violated this rule or you broke that rule. He was just beyond where everybody was at, and it gave him a head start to put that Ole Miss program in the position they're in now. You put those types of resources at a place like LSU with his intimate knowledge and success in the transfer portal. That's a pretty significant weapon, man. Really, when you get down to it, think about this. You got to go back to Jackson Dart being at SC, right? And some of these other guys early on, when everybody was just trying to figure out, what are we going to do with this? He already had a plan in place, and he got in front of people. Now, does the playing field level a little bit? Because now everybody, I don't want to say everybody's caught up, but everybody's now had some time to navigate this and execute a blueprint, right? But you could argue he's done it better than anybody else in college football.
Oh, no question. Okay, you've been around him. I have people like Jake Coker. I was with Jake Coker for almost 3 days last week, who was under Lane Kiffin for 2 years. Okay, he spent hundreds of hours with him. And he was like, nobody knows Lane Kiffin. But people can still pick up his personality traits. So if you were going to describe him, quirky, aloof, brilliant. Some people say he's on the spectrum. You've been in this game forever. How would you describe Lane Kiffin's personality?
I don't think he's aloof at all. I think he's extremely self-aware, extremely calculated, shrewd, smart, knows exactly who he is, does not try to pretend to be anybody else. And that doesn't mean that you don't learn certain traits from the people you're around and adopt some of those traits from people that you've learned from. Doesn't mean that you take all of those things. I think all good coaches take all of those things and try to apply to themselves the ones that they fit within their personality. But he's never tried to be anything other than who he is. Now he's grown, he's matured. Maybe he thinks once or twice before he clicks send, whereas 15 years ago he wouldn't have. I think that's all part of the growth and maturation process. But I think he is extremely self-aware and calculating in relationship to what he does on and off the field. And where he probably gets maybe not enough credit, in my opinion, is he's a worker. I think sometimes that that label comes with certain coaches with personalities that are stern and quiet and direct and to the point, come off as paranoid. Like, everybody assumes that those types of traits are attached to grinders and workers and this and that. Well, I think he is a grinder and a worker. I just don't think he takes himself too seriously when it comes to stuff that doesn't have a direct reflection on winning, losing.
Right.
And there's not a lot of personalities like that in college football, right? In fact, I'm just sitting here having this conversation with you, not knowing you were going to ask that question, and I'm trying to think of one. Try to come up with somebody that does the things that he does on social media, that is charismatic, that will answer your questions, that likes to have fun and poke fun at the media, yet still gets the results that he's gotten. Like, you can't get those results unless you're a detail-oriented worker. You just can't. It doesn't happen. There's too many things to manage. So I think what he's done is he's kind of separated himself because the personality doesn't necessarily vibe with, oh, well, this guy's just going to go out there and outwork somebody. I do think he has some of that in him.
Yeah, that's a good point. Tom Luganbill with ESPN on the Out of Bounds show and the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. All right, and you see no path if he's leaving for him to coach in the college football playoff, right?
I just don't know how you can because of the way the calendar sets up and where the transfer portal falls. Like, you cannot miss now in today's day and age because of where they put the portal. You can't miss that portal. And I just think the challenges of now, the one thing that does help them a little bit is that December is now a dead period.
Right.
But that doesn't mean people aren't cheating left and right in the transfer portal. Right. But from a high school perspective, the recruiting class is already going to be signed and delivered. Right. You'll have to weed through that after the fact. But LSU's not recruiting bad players. So whatever he inherits there or what they end up going with and signing is probably going to be a pretty decent little base and foundation. But you know what, Bo, I'll tell you this, and I will be saying this on live television next Wednesday, I guess it is. And I said it last year. Signing day now isn't what it was when it comes to building the foundation of your program. I mean, what's the likelihood now that, let's just say 60% or more of any given class that you sign at the high school level is going to be in your program within 2 years?
Slim to none.
It's slim to none. So while it all looks great on paper, and you don't want to diminish your efforts in high school recruiting, the problem becomes this, and it's a very simple one. If you get all these high school profile high school guys, and you don't play them all right away, and they don't have a significant role, in their mind, they all think they should be playing. So if they're not, guess what? They're going to leave.
That's right.
And there's nothing stopping them from leaving. And there's nothing stopping them from having taken money in leaving. So while high school football recruiting and having a nice signing day is great on paper and it looks good, it's now all about retention. Like, you're not going to have the opportunity to develop and retain. The goal is to develop if you're a developmental program and then hope you can retain them by affording to keep them if they become something. But at the high profile jobs now, keeping those kids, if they don't play right away, is extremely difficult to do because there's not going to be enough money to go around. And so to me, you look at Nick Saban's talked publicly about, his last player exit meeting in his last year at Alabama, which led to him saying, you know what am I doing? We got kids coming in here asking for $200,000, $300,000. They haven't even played yet. And then if you say, well, that's not going to happen, they're gone. So what really is high school football recruiting anymore?
It's a good question. Tom Luganbill on the show. Something else that's intriguing here is that his first general manager was Austin Thomas, that he and Austin got this thing rolling. Okay. Mm-hmm. As you just mentioned, Lane was so far ahead of everybody else. And as you know, Austin left to go to LSU. And Kelvin Bolden was also in-house at Ole Miss with him, and he left to go to LSU. And so he knows all about the job. He and Edo's. All right. So speaking of Lane, there's talk that Frank Wilson will stay because he's kind of the glue, as you well know, with all these prospects and so on. And Ed Ogeron may join the staff. And it's kind of like getting the band back together, and it's guys that understand the ins and outs of LSU. How much of an asset is that for Lane if this all plays out, Luke?
Well, I think it's huge because both of those guys have been known throughout their careers to be diehard recruiters. And the whole entire goal at LSU, when you don't have a competitor Power 4 program in the state, is that there will be zero excuse for a great player going somewhere else, right? So you want to have those intimate relationships. You want to have those coaches that know every nook and cranny of the state. Because at the end of the day, whether it's high school recruiting, whether it's talent evaluation in the transfer portal, it's about players, not plays. And Lane Kiffin knows that. And so, you got to have those guys on your staff that are intimately involved and have a deep-rooted knowledge starting at home first. And then obviously, when you are recruiting at that level, at the high school level, and you're at a place like an LSU, and you will have likely recruited every great player in the Southeast footprint, or in some cases from a national perspective, the ability to get that guy back on the back end, those relationships are when that matters the most.
Yeah. Tom Luganville is joining us on the Out of Bounds show. ESPN 105.9 The Zone, driven by your next GMC Sierra truck at Fowler GMC, Pearl Brandon. All right, I want to walk you through another one of my theories and see what you think.
Okay.
I think college football coaching is like the NFL today in that it's all about the 30 days leading up into the season, much more so than it was prior to players not leaving and moving around. And here's where I'm going with that. The NFL coaches are just giving their team on July 25th, Luke, as you know. And it's, hey, here's your team. 30% of it's going to be new and depends on position by position each year. You got to expedite this thing and be ready the week after Labor Day to go. I think it's the same way in college football starting 3 years ago, possibly 4. And I think Lane, because of being around Carroll and Saban, his late dad, Monty Kiffin, he understands the way to expedite that. He's got a damn good staff. And Luke, I think he's one of the best coaches and coaching staff at getting their team up and running in 30 days. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think the challenge in college football that isn't a challenge in the National Football League is you don't have rules. See, in that league, they're all playing with the same deck of cards. They're all playing with the same they've got a salary cap they've got to adhere to. They've got free agency. They've got the draft. But everybody's on the same playing field. And so now it comes down to decisions, right? Decisions you make in the draft, decisions you make in free agency. Do you underpay? Do you overpay? Did you miss on a first rounder? All of those. But those are decisions that are made that each individual team is accountable to. In college football, what's made what Lane's done impressive is not everybody is playing with the same deck of cards. Some people might have a $12 million player pool for NIL, and another team might have a $25 million player pool. Well, that's not the same. And so being able to work around that and work in the margins, if you're not playing with, say, Georgia or Ohio State or Texas or Alabama or what have you, Texas A&M's NIL, and you're having to do it a different way, that's probably what's been most impressive about what they've built there in Oxford. The question he's probably, really contemplating is that sustainable if you're never going to be there, right? Are you ever, he could be looking at a situation where, whether it's LSU, whether it's Florida, where he's saying, okay, the settlement, what percentage goes to football? Okay, that's acceptable or unacceptable. Okay, what is our collective number? Is it 30,000 or is it 30 million? Is it 15 million? Is it 25 million? And what are the top 5 other collectible numbers amongst college football right now, amongst the most successful programs? Are we in that range? Are we above that range? Are we way below that range? Because if you're not going to be in that range, you can sit here and say all you want about what a great coaching job you're doing and this and that, but you also have to apply expectation levels to dollar amounts. If you're at Ohio State and they're going to give you $28 million or $33 million or whatever, then the expectation is to play for a national championship and a college football playoff berth every single year.
Right.
But should that then be the expectation at a program that's not going to have those types of dollars? It can't be, because it's impossible to attain. And so, when you look at that for Lane, he's probably trying to get the answers to those questions, because at the end of the day, he hasn't been to Atlanta. They haven't won an SEC championship, haven't been to the college football playoff. And in order to get there, he feels like he may need more in those areas.
All right. What about the next guy that's actually gettable? Who do you like? Is it John Summerall for you? Is it Brent Key? Is it someone else? After Lane decides whether he's staying or going and starts to clear the traffic, who's the next guy in your opinion? Summerall, Brent Key from Georgia Tech, or someone else?
Well, I think it's John Summerall right now, and whether that ties into the Auburn job, whether that ties into Florida or LSU as being the next guy. John has been a head coach for now 4 years. If he's he has never not played in the conference championship game as a head coach.
Wow.
Okay. Now, is it the Group of 5 level? Yes. Does he have an intimate knowledge and familiarity with the southeast portion of the United States? Yes, both as a player and coach at Kentucky. He's from the state of Alabama, just outside of Huntsville. So I think he's the guy that you target, because not only is he a program builder, he's proven to be an elite motivator, and he's gotten teams to play well quickly. And that's the name of the game right now in college football, right? I mean, if you're not going to get it done in 2 years or 3 years, or you're not going to put yourself in a position to compete for a championship, they're going to fire your ass.
Right.
And so, and here's the other thing in all of this, and this is the dangerous component, regardless of who the coach is. All right, this is the most dangerous component of the world that we've evolved into. It used to be that your boosters, your brokers, your alumni guys, your donors, all of those guys, they had a say, right? They had a voice. Now they're owners.
That's right.
They're owners now.
That's right. They're major stockholders. You are exactly right in the football program and athletic department. Tom Luganbill with ESPN. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, my man. Thank you.
Same to you, brother. Have a great week.
The Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, driven by Total Transportation of Mississippi. They're offering nationwide and regional routes right now. Apply today. Total Transportation of Mississippi. Full benefits, frequent time off, weekly pay, and bonuses. Powered by Total Transportation of Mississippi. Apply right now. TotalMS.com. Enjoy your Monday.